Friends from the media, good evening. It's good to meet you all again. This morning, we witnessed the grand opening of the Beijing summit of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation. The big China-Africa family is gathering in Beijing once again after 6 years. This is a grand event with great significance and far-reaching impact. President Xi Jinping attended the opening ceremony and delivered a keynote address. The summit is also attended by leaders of all the 53 African countries with diplomatic relations with China, Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Secretary-General of the United Nations, and representatives of more than 30 international organizations and African sub-regional organizations. Under the theme of joining hands to advance modernization and build a high-level China-Africa community with a shared future, the two sides took stock of the journey of China-Africa friendship, commended the progress made in implementing the outcomes of FOCAC, and reached clearly a political consensus on strengthening cooperation across the board. Two important documents, namely the Beijing Declaration and the Beijing Action Plan, have been adopted unanimously. All parties agree that the summit is a full success. Let me highlight 4 key outcomes. First, China has established, with all African countries having diplomatic relations with China, strategic partnerships. Solid bilateral relations with each African country is the foundation of China-Africa friendship. During the summit, President Xi Jinping is meeting with all heads of state and some heads of government bilaterally to have in-depth communication on major strategic issues. All the other members of the Standing Committee of the Political Bureau of the CPC Central Committee and the Chinese Vice President are also meeting with African leaders. Before and after the summit, China established or elevated its strategic partnerships with 30 countries. China and 53 strategic partners in Africa standing side by side will surely play a bigger role in improving the well-being of the Chinese and African people and safeguarding world peace and stability. Second, the overall characterization of China-Africa relations has been elevated to an all-weather China-Africa community with a shared future for the new era. As President Xi Jinping noted, the friendship between China and Africa transcends time and space, surmounts mountains and oceans, and passes down through generations. Thanks to nearly 70 years of tireless efforts from both sides, the China-Africa relationship is now at its best in history. During the summit, Chinese and African leaders agreed to upgrade China-Africa relations to an all-weather China-Africa community with a shared future for the new era. From a new type of partnership to a comprehensive strategic and cooperative partnership, and to an all-weather community with a shared future for the new era. The China-Africa relationship continues to reach new heights with clearer characterization and greater substance. The process demonstrates the firm resolve of the over 2.8 billion people of China and Africa to share we and the world and march forward hand in hand amid unprecedented changes of the world, and opens a new chapter in the course of building a community with a shared future for mankind. Third, a 6-point proposition was articulated on China and Africa's joint efforts to advance modernization. Modernization is an inalienable, legitimate right of developing countries. How to realize modernization and what kind of modernization to advance are questions of historical significance facing the global South. President Xi Jinping outlined a 6-point proposition on China and Africa's joint endeavor to advance modernization, underscoring the importance to advance modernization that is just and equitable, that is open and win-win, that puts the people first, that features diversity and inclusiveness, that is eco-friendly, and that is underpinned by peace and security. The 6-point proposition is well received by African leaders attending the summit and has become a political consensus between the two sides. It marks our ever-deepening understanding of the rules of modernization and ever-growing consciousness to keep our destinies in our own hands. It will have a profound, far-reaching impact on spearheading modernization of the Global South and advancing global modernization. Fourth, a blueprint is drawn for China-Africa cooperation in the next phase. The two sides adopted the Beijing Declaration and the Beijing Action Plan, both aiming at strengthening China-Africa cooperation over the next 3 years. President Xi Jinping announced that in the next 3 years, China will work with Africa to take 10 partnership actions for modernization. They are, first, the partnership action for mutual learning among civilizations. We will develop a platform for governance experience sharing, build a China-Africa knowledge network for development, and invite 1,000 members of African political parties to China for exchanges. Second, the partnership action for trade prosperity. China has announced that it will unilaterally open its market wider. We will give all African LDCs zero tariff treatment for 100% tariff lines and turn China's big market into Africa's big opportunity. Third, the partnership action for industrial chain cooperation. We will develop the pilot zone for in-depth China-Africa economic and trade cooperation and launch an African SMEs empowerment program. Fourth, and build a China-Africa Digital Innovation Center. Fourth, the partnership action for connectivity. We will put in place a China-Africa network featuring land-sea links and coordinated development to boost trans-regional development in Africa. Fifth, the partnership action for development cooperation. We will implement 1,000 small and beautiful livelihood projects to bring more benefits of development cooperation to the African people. Sixth, the partnership action for health. We will establish a China-Africa joint medical centers, send 2,000 medical personnel to Africa, and support the development of the Africa CDC. Seventh, the partnership action for agriculture and livelihoods. We will provide Africa with emergency food assistance, build standardized agriculture demonstration areas in Africa, and help create at least 1 million jobs for Africa. Eighth, the partnership action for people-to-people exchanges. We will implement the Future of Africa Vocational Education Cooperation Plan and provide 60,000 training opportunities to Africa. The two sides have designated 2026 as the China-Africa Year of People-to-People Exchanges. Ninth, the partnership action for green development. We will launch 30 clean energy projects in Africa, establish 30 joint laboratories, and collaborate on satellite remote sensing and lunar and deep space exploration. 10th, the partnership action for common security. We will work together to turn China's cooperation with Africa on the Global Security Initiative into a fine example of GSI cooperation and train military and police officers for Africa. I also wish to highlight that this is the first summit under which 4 high-level meetings were convened. On the high-level meeting on state governance, the participants spoke highly of the third plenary session of the 20th CPC Central Committee and shared the view that China and Africa should strengthen mutual learning and explore development paths suited to their national conditions. The high-level meeting on industrialization and agricultural modernization discussed how to leverage their respective strength to accelerate their common development and green development. The high-level meeting on peace and security came up with instrumental insights on promoting regional and global peace and stability. On the high-level meeting on high-quality Belt and Road cooperation, discussed how to inject new impetus to the hard connectivity, soft connectivity, and people-to-people connectivity between China and Africa. During the summit, the two sides also engaged in strategic communication on the international situation and global governance. Both sides agreed to firmly support each other on issues that bear on our respective core interests and are of major concerns to us, protect the legitimate rights and interests of developing countries, and advance international fairness and justice. Both sides agreed to jointly practice true multilateralism, implement the Global Development Initiative, the Global Security Initiative, and the Global Civilization Initiative, and call for an equal and orderly multipolar world and a universally beneficial and inclusive economic globalization. Both sides agreed to work together to tear down small yards with high fences, reject discrimination and prejudice, redress historical injustices, and pursue a path to modernization that brings benefits to all. All in all, this summit has sent out a powerful message of China and Africa working together toward common development, and has attested to the unshakable confidence in unity and cooperation among the Global South. The China-Africa Summit Week is truly a Global South moment that contributes to a community with a shared future for mankind. The Conference of Chinese and African Entrepreneurs will be held tomorrow morning. The conference will serve as an important platform for China-Africa business matchmaking and cooperation. It will add more vitality to the practical cooperation between China and Africa. I wish to express my sincere appreciation to all participants for your active contributions to a successful summit, and I thank Senegal for its outstanding work as African co-chair of the forum. And my congratulations to the Republic of the Congo for taking over as the next African co-chair. Last but not least, my thanks also go to friends from the media. It is your hard work that has swiftly conveyed the positive energy of China-Africa friendship to the whole world. I count on your continued interest in and support for the development of China-Africa relations. Thank you.